Hello, dear students. Myself, Shamitra sir. Today we are again back with a very interesting session on two of the major important bacteria. Like last day, we were discussing about that of Shigella and the disease caused by Shigella, that is Shigellosis. Today we are going to discuss about that of the two major important, I would say that foodborne pathogens, okay, which we are representing it as that of the Salmonella and the Staphylococcus itself. We are going to focus over that of the kind of the diseases that Salmonella is causing and even Staphylococcus is also causing itself, okay. So let's begin. So if we are saying Salmonella, it's a group of that of the, I would say that the bacterium, which is like a very important one, and it is like the major like typhoid and other kind of that of the diseases like enteritis, like systemic diseases itself, and everything in that case. Okay. So there are lots of species of that of the Salmonella, among which Salmonella typhi and the Salmonella paratyphi, these are found to cause that of the, I would say that, and all these things itself. So first of all, if we want to see the specialized features of that of the Salmonella, specialized features of that of the Salmonella, if we want to see. So Salmonella, as last day we had seen that for Shigella we had seen same thing for Salmonella also. It is a gram-negative kind of that of the bacteria. Okay. Along with the same itself, we can say again, Salmonella, it is actually what like this is the kind of the one which is a non-spore forming. That means what, it's a bacillus kind and a big rods which are remaining present. Most importantly, these are the kind of the bacteria which are facultative anaerobic. I hope so you all are remembering. We had initially only we had discussed while we were discussing about that the bacterial structures and microbial structures and everything. Initially itself we had discussed about that of that what is aerobic, what is anaerobic, what is facultative aerob, what are facultative anaerob, all this we discussed. Okay. Now the same thing for Salmonella, we can say that it's a kind of the like a microbe itself, which is facultative anaerobic kind of the bacteria. Now these two very important thing. Now that means they are showing a positive reaction towards the enzyme, that is the catalase itself, and a negative reaction towards oxidase itself. Okay. So moreover, this is a very important one. So now if we are saying Salmonella as that of a bacillus itself, okay. So it is motile. Motile means it will be showing the presence of that of the flagellum, and the flagellum it is remaining present throughout its body structure itself. So as because the flagellum is remaining present throughout that of the body structure, we are representing it as that of the peritricus flagella. That condition we are representing it as that of the peritricus flagella itself. Okay. So moreover, these are actually the primary intestinal tract. That means what? If we are saying the habitat, if we are saying the habitat of the Salmonella within that of our body, Salmonella, it mainly used to take the shelter within that of our GIT, that is the gastrointestinal tract itself. It stays over there, and whenever it is multiplying in a, like whenever it is getting a suitable environment, it will be multiply in a rapid manner itself. So we are representing it as the primarily inhabitants of the GIT or the gastrointestinal tract itself. Now, this is a very important thing. Salmonella, it is generally for carried by that of huge number of that of the vectors. Okay, and all are the carriers itself. Like there are the food animals, of wild animals, rodents, insects, all carried on by that of the animal vector. Okay. and moreover, they can be easily transmitted, or I would say that transferred via that of the feces itself to that of the soil. Now, what is this feces? Feces, the excreta product itself. That means what? Whenever like human excreta and they are getting mixed up with that of the soil particle itself, and they are contaminating that of our foods as well as that of the water, okay, along with that of the feeds also. And those food, water, there those contaminated food, water, as well as that of the feed, when they are being consumed by that of the other animals itself, very easily salmonella, it can get transferred towards from one organism towards another organism. It can get very easily transferred itself over here. Okay, so if you're saying the pathogenesis, the mainly I would say that the clinical kind of that of the syndrome. Now we have to remember one thing. See, the among all the species, as I told you earlier also, among all the species itself, Salmonella, it is having two major kind of the other species, Salmonella typhi and the other paratyphi itself, and both are related with that of the systemic disease. So there are two kind of the other syndrome which are remaining present. The first one, it is the enteritis, and the second one, it is that of the systemic disease itself. Now, what is this enteritis? Enteritis, it is actually the one which is releasing the enterotoxins itself, and based on that, I would say that the symptoms, it will be the mild fever, the nausea, the vomiting, abdominal pain, diarrhea, etc. These kind of the symptoms you will be getting happened itself, and whatever all these kind of the symptoms will be remaining present, all these symptoms, they will be basically, they will be lasting for that of certain days only, few days only it will be lasting upon. Okay, now if you're saying about the systemic diseases itself, so systemic diseases, we can say that, like, what is a systemic disease? That first of all we have to understand. A systemic disease is the one, okay, which is actually resistant to that of the phagocytic killing in that of the humans. That means what? Whatever the phagocytes which are remaining present within that of our body, that means the macrophages and all the kind of that of the part which are remaining present, or which are immune friendly, I would say that. So all these immune friendly components, okay, they are actually resistant, okay, these kind of the disease, they are, or these kind of the symptoms, they are resistant to that of these phagocytic killing itself. And at this point of view, this becomes the major, the deadlier one format itself in that case. As I said you, it implies to that of Salmonella typhi and that of the paratyphi itself, and the symptoms which are present within that of the systemic disease itself, or systemic like symptoms itself, it becomes the major kind of that of the symptom, in which the typhoid fever, the vomiting, extreme form of that of the vomiting, the diarrhea, and all these things gets happened. So in general, if I'm saying about that of the enteritis part itself, the incubation period, it is in natural, I would say that 6 to 48 hours. Whereas in terms of that of the like typhoid fever incubation period, it is around 3 to 56 days itself. It is around 3 to that of the 56 days, the systemic disease, and that of its, I would say that, like that of its incubation period used to be there over this. Okay. So if I'm saying like how the salmonella, it is remaining associated with that of the food, if you're saying the association of that of the food itself, we are representing it as that of a zoonotic infections. Now, what do you understand by that of a zoonotic infection? Zoonotic infection stands for animal infection. Wherever we are getting the letter word zoo, zoo stands for what? Zoo stands for that of the motile itself in that case. So any kind of that of the infection which is been transmitted with the or through that of the animal vectors itself, we are representing it as that of the zoonotic infections itself over here accordingly. Okay, we can make it as that of the zoonotic kind of that of the infections. Now, I would say that the transmission, it is generally by that of fecal-oral route itself. That means fecal and oral route. By that one, the transmission will get happened. Okay, and I would say that meat, milk, poultry, eggs, these are the primary vehicles. So as I said you, as of the animal infections itself in that case. So I would say that, like as I said you, that for priorly only that how they are getting, how they are contaminating that of our food sources itself. So it is mainly by that of the fecal and oral route itself. And by this fecal and oral route, what is getting happened, they will be simply getting transmitted via that of the meat, milk, poultry, as well as that of the eggs itself. These will be the major, the primary vehicles which will be remaining present over there. So that thing, we are representing it as that of a zoonotic kind of that of the infections itself over here present. Okay, so That is all about the salmonella. That means what? You have to remember one thing, that salmonella is what actually? Salmonella is the kind of the bacterium which is mainly concerned with that of what? Which is mainly concerned with that of, I would say, like the mainly that of the enterotoxin release itself. And these enterotoxin, which when they are getting released, they are infecting that of the gastrointestinal tract of the human being itself. And when they are infecting that of the gastrointestinal tract of the human being, automatically it causes very great or very major type of the symptoms itself: fever, diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal cramps, and all these things itself. Okay, the next the bacterium which we are representing it as that of the Staphylococcus. You can see I'm splitting the word into two types, two words. Coccus always stands for that of spherical shaped structure. And if I'm saying about that of the Staphylo, it always means a bunch of grape-like structure itself. It always stands for that of the bunch of grape-like structure itself. That thing we are representing it as Staphylo. This Staphylococcus bacterium, it was first of all been discovered by that of Dr. Alexander, okay, and he had like performed a lots of experimentations on that of I would say that this bacterium itself, and later onwards during the year of that of 1882, he had named this bacterium as that of the Staphylococcus itself, and that is also depending on that of its structure. Okay, structure means it is showing a bunch or a, that of a group of that of the structure itself. Depending on that one, we are naming it as that of the Staphylococcus itself. Okay, now majorly this bacterium, it has been found to be present like in human being. If I'm saying, it is found to be present in those regions, especially where the mucilages or the mucus layer, mucus covering are remaining present. Like we can say that in that of our nasal region, nasal zone itself, where the mucus covering used to remain present. We'll see the details, some of the features of that of the Staphylococcus. There can be 27 species and 7 subspecies which are remaining present in the other Staphylococcus itself. And the most, I would say that pathogenic one and the considerable kind of the species which is remaining present among all these 27 ones, it is represented as that of the Staphylococcus aureus itself. Okay, so and this shows the production of the enterotoxin. Now do remember, although this is the majority of the other species of the other Staphylococcus, it shows the presence of the other enterotoxin. This Staphylococcus aureus, this is the kind of the bacterium which specifically it shows the neurotoxin itself, which specifically it shows that of the neurotoxin release itself. Okay, and it's a strict neurotoxin which actually, like I would say that which actually I would say that stimulates, and I would say that which interferes with that of our sympathetic nervous system, vagus nervous system, and all these things, and it stimulates that of our vomiting center within that of our body. We'll see it later onwards itself. Further, if I'm saying Staphylococcus, like when the individual is suffering from the other Staphylococcus, it generally shows mild or short living type of the illness. It's not a long-term illness. It is always a mild or a short-term illness itself. It's a gram-positive coccus. Now see, till now we were seeing about the gram-negative one. Now this one, and gram-negative, especially Shigella was also a rod-shaped one, and Salmonella was also a rod-shaped one. But the Staphylococcus one, it is actually the gram-positive kind of the other coccus which is remaining present. Generally in them, the cell division, it occurs like in more than one plane. It is not a uniplanar structure. It's not occurring in that of a monoplanar structure. It generally occurs in multiplanar structure itself. Okay. It is also facultative anaerobe, as I said you earlier also, and only the Staphylococcus aureus, if I'm saying the part, it is mesophile. That means what? It is growing in the terrestrial condition, like lesser water presence itself. Okay, it is growing in that part. Now, if I'm talking about the growth temperature optimum range, it is in between the 7 to 48, and generally, if I'm saying about the optimum temperature, it is 37 degrees, or that of the room temperature itself in which it used to grow. pH, it is 6 to 7. Minimum limits will be 4, and the maximum limit will always be 9.8 to 10 itself. Minimum limit will always be the 4 one, and the maximum limit will always be that of 9.8 to that of the 10 itself in that case. Okay, so you can see that this is the kind of the bacterium which is actually found in that of neutralized to that of the alkaline environmental part itself. Okay. In minimum limit, I would say that it can grow in that of the acidic environment also. In maximum condition, it can go towards that of the extreme basophilic kind of condition also, alkalophilic kind of condition also, like in pH 10. Till that one also it can release. Now, if I'm saying the habitat, it is, as I said you, the all those layers within that of our body which have been lined by that of mucous membranes itself, it is present within that one. So habitat, it is skin glands, mucous membranes, okay, of some of that of the warm-blooded animals itself. It is found within that of those conditions itself. Okay. Moreover, it can remain associated with that of the nasal tract. As I said you earlier also, that it is remaining associated with that of the nasal tract of that of our, like the human beings itself. Okay. Within that of our nasal region itself, it is related with that of part itself. And it is related with that of all the mucus lining, the slime layer lining within that of our body part itself. Okay. So if I'm saying this is the part, the Staphylococcus aureus, the toxin type of the Staphylococcus aureus. If I'm saying the toxin type, as I said you earlier also, rest of all the species, they are showing the enterotoxin release, but Staphylococcus aureus, it shows the release of the neurotoxins itself, which specifically it reaches towards that of the gut receptors within that of our brain. Okay. It stimulates that of the vomiting center in that of the brain itself. Okay. And how it does, it stimulates, it actually activates, it actually transfers or transmits via that of our vagus and that of the sympathetic nervous system itself. And when it is going through that one, it is directly reaching towards that of what, it is directly reaching to that of our vomiting center. And whenever it is reaching to that of our vomiting center itself, automatically what is happening, automatically it stimulates our vomiting center to show that of the, I would say that, to show that of the, like the vomiting part itself and everything and all the kind of the symptoms. So if I'm saying the symptoms of that of the, like the Staphylococcus, as I said you earlier also, that the Staphylococcus, it actually shows what? It actually shows very mild kind of that of the symptoms itself. And incubation period, it is also very shorter one, 2 to 4 hours. The symptoms, how it can be showing, nauseatic symptom, vomiting, then stomach cramps itself. In some of the later onwards cases, it can also show that of the diarrhea also in that case. Okay. So if I'm saying both these kind of the bacterium, that is the Salmonella as well as that of the Staphylococcus, both these kind of the bacterium, I'm just giving a brief. Salmonella is a bacillus kind of the bacterium, whereas Staphylococcus, if I'm saying it's a coccus, Salmonella is a gram-negative one, this is a gram-positive one. Both are facultative anaerobe. Both used to release certain special kind of the toxin. Shigella, I had said you that it releases that of the Shiga toxin itself. And if I'm talking about that of the Staphylococcus itself, the Staphylococcus, the genera, it generally releases the enterotoxin, but the species aureus, it is responsible to show that of the, or release that of the neurotoxin itself in that case. Okay, students. So that's all for today. We had discussed about that of the Staphylococcus as well as that of the Salmonella itself. Next day I'm going to bring some more of the bacterium, and after that we are going to see about that of the fermentation technologies and all these parts itself. So many more interesting lectures are going to come in this forthcoming part itself. We are going to discuss about that of the lots of other type of that of the toxic, I would say that pathogenic microbes itself. So in the meanwhile, for getting all the like the study materials as well as that of the mock test and all the other parts, you can WhatsApp to that of your class monitor itself, and the number whichever it is mentioned over here itself, and whatever for your benefit, whenever it's there, IIOCS, it is always there with you for that of, in order to teach you and to mentor you for that of your complete ASRB net preparation itself. Okay, students. So till that time, thank you everyone. Thank you very much. Good night. We are meeting very soon with that of what? We are meeting very soon with that of another exciting session on that of the food microbiology. We are going to discuss over that of what? Over that of like lots of that of the kind of that of the part, lots of kind of that of the more toxic pathogenic microbes. Thank you.